Hey love bugs, welcome back to another Tarot Lover Reviews. Today we are taking a look at the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. So if you've heard of this tarot deck or you have not, hopefully this review and the flip through that comes afterwards helps you to decide on whether or not this tarot deck is right for you. Now if you want to go straight to the flip through, feel free to look down in my description. I break out all of the suits into chapters to make it easier for you to locate where in the flip through you would like to start. But right now we're going to talk about the packaging, we're going to talk about the guidebook, we're going to talk about the cards. So if you are interested in all the details revolving around this tarot deck, stick around. If not, head on over to the flip through. So let's take a look at the packaging. This is what one side looks like, and then the side here. I always forget which direction the sides are going here. And do I have it right side up? Yes, I do. So I have it right side up. This is published by Lo. They have done a lot of tarot decks that I enjoy. They are also one of the publishing companies that don't tend to utilize the same type of cardstock for their tarots, and I appreciate that. I feel like it just gives more texture, I guess you can say, to the products that they offer. And at least I know if I were to buy any of their tarot decks, it's not going to be the same. You know, it's not a bad thing, but at the same time, I want a variety, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's one side of the box. This is the other side of the box, and it opens as so. Pretty easy peasy. So that's the packaging. Let's talk about the guidebook. So the guidebook, whenever it comes to tarot decks that are in boxes like this, typically you can expect to get a little white book with it. Now it does look a little bit thick, but that's only because it's in different languages. Okay, so it's not necessarily that you're getting a lot of information within the little white books, especially from Lo. They're just known for having tarot decks in multiple languages, which is fantastic. So the front part of the guidebook is in English, and it pretty much gives you the, I shouldn't say that they give you just keywords for each of the cards, because for this tarot deck, for this guidebook, they don't. The guidebook in this particular tarot deck gives you a paragraph of information, a way of being able to interpret that card. So you're not necessarily going to get keywords within this guidebook. So you get a paragraph, and it typically will cover upright and reversal, the reversal being towards the end of the paragraph. I believe, I can be wrong, there is a tarot spread in the front here, but it doesn't really get into exactly what that pertains, I guess you can say. I'm trying to double check here. Yeah, they don't necessarily have a tarot spread. I mean, you have the ones that show in the front, but I mean, it doesn't really give you too much information. Oh, no, I take that back. I need to open my eyes here. There is a breakdown right here of what these cards stand for. So technically you do get a tarot spread within the guidebook, which is always fantastic. I will always say it's such a good idea to at least have one tarot spread within your guidebook, so that any new tarot reader has something that they can utilize. Yes, you can go online and find something, but it's always great to be able to just reference it straight from the guidebook that comes with the tarot deck. So that is your guidebook. Let's talk about the cards. This is what the back of the cards looks like. I love this. I love the fact that you cannot tell whether or not the card is upright or reversed. It is a matte finish, okay? And I would say it is a standard tarot size card, but just to be on the safe side, I have your standard Rider-Waite-Smith tarot card here for reference. I do a lot of referencing when it comes to Rider-Waite-Smith and the particular tarot deck that I'm reviewing. I'll get into that a little bit more later, but you can at least see here the length of it is the same, but the width is a little bit thinner, which I am not mad about. I love the way that this tarot deck fits in my hands. I love the way that this tarot deck shuffles. It is one of my favorite tarot decks in my collection for sure. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, let's talk about the cardstock. Okay, so as I mentioned, it's a matte finish, which is fantastic. I always love me a matte finish tarot deck. The cardstock is Goldilocks zone. Now, if you don't know what I mean by Goldilocks zone, I mean it makes for a great shuffle when it comes to the poker style shuffle. I don't mean you have to do this, you know, you can shuffle however you want to shuffle. I know that they call this a riffle shuffle as well. I just recently learned that, but I'm so used to calling it the poker shuffle because that's typically how, you know, you would shuffle poker cards, and that's how I've always associated it with. So whenever I talk about the cardstock, I utilize the poker shuffle as an example as far as the thickness of the cardstock, because the thicker the cardstock, the harder it will be for you to even bend like this. You would get a lot of tension if the cardstock was super thick, and you probably would have a hard time doing this. Whereas if it's right in the middle, you have no problem. There's still tension, but not a lot to where you can bend your cards and be able to shuffle it that way. And again, like I said, you don't necessarily have to shuffle in that manner. A lot of clients do the under-over method, right? The putting it down on a table and just swishing it around. Do you, boo, okay? Do what makes you happy. You do not have to do it the way that everybody else is doing it. It is what feels right to you. I will constantly say that whenever I can, okay? You do not have to follow the masses, okay? So let's talk about, we talked about the cardstock. I'm going to talk about the cardstock a little bit more. I feel like I need to. So, C-scale. If you have not seen any of my reviews, I do this C-scale to visually give you an idea of the cardstock. So, because I've already mentioned that it's Goldilocks zone, you'll already know it is smack dab in the middle. So here is thin paper-like cardstock, and then you have really thick cardstock to where you cannot bend the cards for dear life. Obviously, we have no problem bending these particular cards, so it's smack dab in the Goldilocks zone. It is a beautiful shuffle with this tarot deck. And I've found that most of Los Scarabäos tarot decks and the cardstocks that they choose are great shuffles. Some of them, like I said, they tend to do different cardstock with different tarot decks. Majority of their tarot decks have great shuffle. Some of them are a little bit on the thicker side. Some of them are a little bit on the thinner side, which is, I've never had a problem with any of them. Maybe with the thicker ones, because depending on how I want to shuffle, it may be difficult if I want to do that poker style shuffle. But anyways, let's talk about the imagery and naming convention on these cards. So again, I am doing the comparison up against the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, mainly because all of the tarot decks that are out there in the market, all of the guidebooks that are out there for purchase, a lot of them reference the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery and naming convention. So it's always helpful for me to mention this so that you know going in, before you even make this purchase, you know what you are getting into and there are no surprises. So with that being said, let's talk about the naming convention. Naming convention, exactly the same as the Rider-Waite-Smith naming convention in regards to the guidebook. Why I say that is because, let me see if I can find a card. Yeah, because the major arcana does not show the name of the card. Typically, it's down here at the bottom. It is not, okay? So that's one thing that you will notice here. Same thing for the minor arcana. There are no names on these cards. When it comes to the minor arcana, you have the suit symbol and then the number of that card at the top. Okay, so if you are a new tarot reader, you may find it a little, I'm not saying a whole lot difficult, a little bit difficult getting used to it. But then again, keep in mind, the Rider-Waite-Smith never had the names of the cards for their minor arcana. I think maybe for the court cards, but never for the 2 through 10 cards. The aces did say ace at the bottom, or I think it did. Now I'm questioning myself. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. So just be mindful. There are no names on these cards, okay? I don't believe even with the court cards, yeah. Even with the court cards, same thing. You do not get the names of the cards. You don't get the name of that card on there. You do, however, get, I don't know if you guys can see that, you kind of get an idea of what part of the court this particular card is. So for the pages, it will look this way. For the knights, it will have the horse. For the queen, you have more of a feminine crown. For the king, you have a more masculine crown. So that's how you'll be able to tell the difference between the court cards. So yeah, that is the naming convention. Lastly, let's talk about the imagery. The imagery definitely follows a lot with the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. So if you are new to tarot and you are utilizing the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, you definitely can move into this tarot deck because you will find a lot of the characteristics of the characters, of the people in the cards definitely have the same type of positioning, the same type of environment that you would see in the imagery of the Rider-Waite-Smith, okay? The one thing I love, and is obvious by the name of the tarot deck, is the way that they incorporated the gold within the card. So every single card has a frame. It is framed out, and I love that. It gives an elegance to the cards. And pretty much in the background, you will have this gold foiling pattern in the background. It's pretty much the same pattern on every single card. Some more noticeable than others, such as the Chariot. You don't see the background as much, but it does kind of peak on some sides. So it's not fully viewable on some cards, and in others, you'll definitely see it a lot more. So such as the Six of Cups, you see it up here at the top, but majority of it is the imagery of the card itself, right? So the gold part is basically the sky. Any part of the sky that is present within the imagery, that is what you will find within this tarot deck. I thought, because I'm not so much a gold person, I thought that I would not like this tarot deck. I am a fan of Art Nouveau. I love Art Nouveau style imagery. That's one of the reasons why I was compelled to get this tarot deck, but I wasn't sure about the gold foiling and how I would take it. And it is not too overpowering in this tarot deck. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I feel like it gives a nice touch, a nice accent to each of the cards, and just allows your eyes to kind of go, I don't know how to explain that part. I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to confuse you guys. So yeah, that is pretty much what I wanted to talk about in regards to this tarot deck. There are no bonus cards, just to throw that out there. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't to mention this, but yeah, there's no bonus cards, and that's not a make or break kind of a situation. But again, I absolutely love this tarot deck. I highly recommend it to anyone who is looking for a Rider-Waite-Smith-esque kind of tarot deck, but still kind of moves away from the imagery that you find on that tarot deck. But yeah, hopefully this video has helped you in some way. If it has, leave a like and check out my channel. See if there are any other tarot decks that I've reviewed that you might be interested in watching. But if you don't find a tarot deck that I haven't reviewed yet, leave a comment down below. Let me know what that tarot deck is. Chances are I might have it, and I just haven't done a video on it just yet. But if I don't have it, you are giving me a reason to buy a new one and to feed my addiction. So thank you. But leave me a comment. Let me know what it is, and I will look into it. But without further ado, guys, here is the flip through. Enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.